What's up, you guys? Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, anywhere, YouTube, family, friends, strangers, ladies, gentlemen, boys, and girls. What's up? My name is Quentin Clay, and welcome to Young Black and Creative. I am so excited because this is the first podcast. It's my first podcast I've ever did. I've never did something of a podcast, something like a podcast. I've never did anything like this, so I am very, very excited for this opportunity right now. So yeah, it took me a year and a half to really kind of niche down and figure out what I want my first podcast to be about, and how to present myself to an audience of people. And what better way of doing it than to do it with something that you are as a person, you are passionate about, something that you can relate to. And that was just one of my biggest struggles, was trying to figure out what do I want my podcast to be about, that I can be able to relate to other people and they can hear me out and they can take in any information or any advice, or just enjoy listening to me, than to talk about young black creatives. So here we are. Today I'm going to basically just talk to you guys about introductions. And before I can get into the topic, let me introduce myself and also introduce this podcast. So, my name is Quentin Clay. I'm 22 years old currently, and I live in Atlanta, Georgia. It's so many creative things I've did before, I've dabbled into, I'm currently doing now, and what I'm going to do in the future. But let me just kind of get into the primary creative things I've dabbled into, and what I currently do right now. Currently, I'm a photographer. I've started photography about, I've been taking pictures all my life. But I've gotten serious with photography for about a year and a half now, so I can go ahead and just call myself a photographer. I've dabbled into music. I've dabbled into writing of all kinds, songwriting, screenwriting for shows, book writing. I've always been a writer. I've always been, able to pick up a pen and a piece of paper and try to write something, a story, a life experience, something that I have going on in my head that I'm not able to really express to someone or talk to someone about, and just openly write. I've dabbled into film a little bit. I dabbled into fashion a little bit. I had a t-shirt line before, but it was I had to work with that t-shirt line, but over the years I thought about it, I might bring it back. It depends. So I've just dabbled into a lot of different creative things, but primarily right now I am a photographer. And I just thought and I also do YouTube too. I'm doing YouTube currently, and I wanted to do a while back. I wanted to do a podcast. It was going to be like a podcast blog. It's going to be a podcast with a blog. So I wanted to figure out a good niche for that podcast, because it was like, gosh, what can I really talk about that's going to attract a good audience and keep them in tune every episode that I do of the podcast. And at first, it was going to be a podcast about, what was that? It was a topic about just any topics that I think about, like any topics that's going on in the media, or, any kind of controversial type of conversation that I can have with the audience. But then I thought about it, that's not something that's going to attract a certain audience. It's going to bring different audience members, and they're going to always think about that. They're going to always, expect for me to talk about something controversial or talk about something that's in the media currently. So if I want to talk something about lifestyle, they're not going to want to tune in because they're ready for something that's in the media. So then after a while, I stopped thinking that pulled that idea of doing a podcast, and I stopped for a while, and I came back, and I thought, like, okay, well, let me try to do something that I can have people that can relate to what I'm talking about. So then I thought about it. Let me do a podcast on gay black creatives. As a matter of fact, it was at first gay millennials. And, kind of like uplifting gay black millennials. Then it went into creatives because that's when I got into photography more. That's why I got into more of my creative aspect. And I was like, okay, let me just go ahead and do something talk about something that's relative to creatives that are black and gay, young black and gay. But then I thought about it as I'm just, going through my social medias, going through life in general, and I'm meeting new people, and I'm looking at the things that I see my young black peers go through as creatives, those that are creatives, and they go through the same things that I go through, and I'm gay. So why not just open it to young black creatives altogether? Because we go through the same things. We all go through the same exact situations, the same trauma, the same, the same experiences. We have the same things in common. So why not just open that to all, young black creatives versus young black gay creatives? And I mean, it's more to that because I don't want to open up certain conversations, I don't want to open up different topics within like the gay community, and that cause like other things. But, it's things that I can talk to I can speak for gay black creatives that I can also speak for, I can also speak for all young black creatives. So why not just do the podcast on that? And I've been trembling on the idea for a while because I really want this to be something that is beneficial to creatives out there. And, I want this to be a podcast that, it can help the next young black creative, whether it's helping them out of the situation that they're going through currently, or, giving them that extra support system, letting them know that there's somebody out there that's listening, or there's somebody that's out there that has the same thing that's going on that you do. So I want to really think on the idea of the podcast and try to create I'm sorry. And it's crazy because I was just in the living room, like talking this whole podcast through, and I basically did the whole podcast in the living room, and I didn't record it, and it was so good. But, sometimes, and I'm also like right now just trying to get comfortable. So I'm trying to see if I want to make this like the very first episode, or do I just want to have this as a test episode, which I might just have this as a test episode. So, just to kind of get comfortable with myself. But, yeah, like I said, like I want this to be something that creatives can come to and listen and retain the information, and, just know that somebody is going through the same things, and I'm not alone in this, and I have a support system with what I'm doing. And that's just that. That's just down that. I really want that to be known. So this podcast, I want this podcast to, display that energy, display that positivity. And, if I have like guests on the show, or if I have any events, or if I have any discussion boards on my social medias for this podcast, I want that to still display the same positivity that I'm going to give out on this. I don't want it to ever be any kind of hate, no discrimination, nothing. I want this to be positive and uplifting to the next person, the next creative. And I know I don't know who's out there listening. It can be the same three people that it could be the same people that support me, like my immediate family members, or just me and my best friend. We listen to the podcast every other day. We share turns listening to the podcast over and over again. Probably my mom, probably my best friend's mom, my other best friend, or it can be 10 other young black creatives, or it can be 20 people, 100 people, 1,000 people. I don't know who's listening, but I want you to know, whoever is listening to this, I want you to know that you have somebody there that's going to support you no matter what. Because I know as young black creators, we get to a point where we shut down on everybody. We shut down on people because people don't understand the things that we go through as young black creatives. And I know I wanted this first episode, which is it's going to be the test episode. I wanted this episode to be about introduction, but this is the starting point of introducing what is a young black creative and what are the things that we go through. So young black creatives, we're makeup artists, we're music artists, we're photographers, videographers, filmmakers, writers, poets, painters, dancers, anything that has a creative talent, a creative aspect that an average person who just works a basic 9-to-5 job, comes home, parties every weekend, anything that's outside of that can be shown as entertainment, or that can be a ooh and ah in a situation outside of your everyday life. That's what creatives do. And it's different for it's different for creatives in general and then young black creatives, because young black creatives, we have to still deal with the everyday life of being black in America, or just black in general. And then the youth, because we have a lot of people in our older generation that kind of look down on us. Well, not really look down on us, but they kind of don't understand some things that we put out creatively, because they're in a generation where they were brought up a certain way, or they were brought up on certain things. So they're not going to understand some of the things that we put out. So when you mix these three things, these three elements, young, black, and creative, we're separated. So as a young black creative, we go through so much hell. And I'm going to try to refrain from using cuss words, although I know with some topics, some things, it might just be a blurt out. I might cuss. So in advance to my older audience, my younger audience, my mom, my best friend mom, I'm sorry, but sometimes I just can't control my emotions. I can control the things that I say, but also sometimes it just has to be said. So we go through things that people who are not creative are not going to understand. And especially when we are trying to present our artistry or our creativeness to a wide variety of audiences, and expect for them to give us good feedback and criticism on our art and our work. And we get into different modes where we doubt our work because we're not getting the attention that we deserve, or we feel that we deserve from people who are more popular in their art, or popular in that caliber that you're on. And you start to doubt yourself, or you start to doubt your talent, doubt your creativeness. And it gets to a point where we just shut down. We stop talking to people. We stop, doing our creativeness, and we just get into that mode, and we just don't know what to do. We feel that we don't have people to talk to, or we have people to talk to, but we don't want to talk to them, but it's also, we want to have somebody to talk to that we can relate to what we're doing, so that they can know, they can kind of understand, what we're going through. Why are we upset? Why are we in this mode? Because if you ask the average person, and honestly, I was just having this conversation with one of my coworkers the other day. And she saw me and she asked me, what was wrong? Why are you upset? You look like you don't want to be here. And honestly, I work at H&M, which is fast-paced, fast fashion. So it's going to be stressful. It's stressful in retail, and you people who work in retail, they know what it's like to be in retail. So me as a creative, I can't, I'm not going to enjoy the job as much because it's not creative. I mean, yeah, it's entertaining because you have, you're dealing with people, you're dealing with the same people in your crowd. So, of course, you're dealing with younger people that, you can, see and stuff like that. But when you get to talk to them, or when you get into your mode and you're not inspired by being at the job, you shut down. And I know I shut down a lot. So when she came to me, she was like, "Oh, what's wrong? Why you seem like you don't want to be here? You seem like you're upset. I just want to make sure you're okay." Those things, it don't help the situation. I can't take somebody just constantly asking me what's wrong and why are you upset and everything like that, because that just doesn't help the situation. And I had to sit her down and explain to her, because in that moment, I was not upset. I had to sit and explain to her, I'm a creative. And as a creative, being here blocks my creativeness. So, because we have to deal with all the negativity, these customers coming in, demanding this, demanding that, messing up the store. Then you have the managers on your back all the time about you have to do this, you have to do that. And then you have to deal with your coworkers with this drama, this messiness, their lackluster in working, in their work ethics. So you have to deal with all of those things at one time. And then you're also there and you want to do your creative, you want to go out and do your makeup, you want to go out and take pictures, you have all these things that you want to do outside this job, but you can't do it because you had to work, you had to take care of your responsibilities. So when you have that, in the way, and you think about that, it gets you in that mode. So I have to, stay quiet and refrain from, getting myself upset at a job, so that I can be able to, last up there without spazzing out on anybody, because I know I have a temper to where I start to shut down and be quiet and just take in. And then once somebody pisses me off, I'm going to explode on them. I'm going to let all that energy out. And I'm going to take it out. I'm going to continue to take it out on everybody that comes my way. So in order for me to, refrain from doing that, I have to, remain quiet, remain calm, think about something that's outside of the job that's going to keep me positive, keep me uplifted, keep me thinking about what I'm going to do to get out of this job, so that I can make the day go by and still be happy, And I had to really break that down to her so that she could understand, because she wasn't creative. She didn't have anything going on other than this 9 to 5. Well, I wouldn't say 9 to 5, but this retail job that me and her both don't want to be here. But I have an advantage of don't want to be here than she do. But, it was just she couldn't relate to anything that I was trying to. She didn't relate to my emotion at that time. So this is what I'm saying. Like, black creators, we have a hard time expressing this to people that don't understand. So when we get into this mode where we don't feel like our work is appreciated, or we don't feel like our work is getting the attention that it deserves, or we feel that it deserves, we get into this mode. Although our work can be great, our work can be phenomenal. I follow so many young black photographers, and I promise we go through the same thing. We go through the same shit. Excuse my language. We go through the same shit. We put out these pictures, amazing pictures, and honestly, I'm still in my amateur stage. But I look at photographers who are, oh my gosh, they're great photographers. It's this one photographer named Victorian Prime on Instagram and Twitter. It's another one named Ive Scotty. Oh my gosh, I love both of their work equally. They are so amazing. But they always talk about their mental, they're more transparent than, a lot of known photographers. And, they talk about those same things that I'm talking about right now, doubting their work, not getting the attention that they feel that they deserve because, it seemed like I don't know, for some reason, people that don't understand photography, they put photographers in a competition type of thing where we have to compete with one another, and they feel like one photographer work is better than the other one. So when they do that, it puts us in a situation where it's like, okay, my work isn't as good as his work, so I have to push myself to get better than him. But how am I going to be able to do that? Because he has a following. He has this following. I don't have that following yet. And then I'm trying to make sure my pictures look up to his pictures, and then that's when you also put your pictures out, and then you look at your likes and you look at their likes and you get jealous. It's not I don't want to say it's jealousy, but it's just doubt, because you're not getting the same response they're getting. So you start to feel like, damn, I'm not that good. I'm not good enough. So, excuse me. So then we start to doubt ourselves. We start to get into our modes where we don't want to talk to anybody. We don't want to, openly express that to nobody, because we feel like nobody's not understanding where we're coming from when they keep telling us like, oh yeah, your work is good, your work is good, your work is good. You can keep telling me my work is good, but I don't feel like my work is good because I'm not where that person is, that next person, that bigger photographer than I am. So when we get into that mode, we just don't know what to do. We stop taking pictures. We stop posting. We start, it seems like we're getting depressed about that. And it's hard to get out of that mode. I've had plenty of times that happened to me within this last year. Honestly, within this last 6 months. And within the last 6 months, I've been having some personal issues going on. I've been going through a lot of transitions in my life within the last 6 months. Within the last 3 months. So it's tough. It's a tough time. But, when I get in that mode, it also opens me up to think a lot. Think about, what can I do to get out of this funk? What can I do to get my work out there? What can I do to make sure that I'm going to get the same response, if not more, than the next photographer that I look up to? And it all just starts with, it starts with yourself. It starts with understanding that you are great at what you do. Because if you were not great, people would say that you're not great. So whether you have thousands of subscribers, thousands of followers, 100,000 of followers, 1,000 followers, 500 followers, or even shit, I got less than 100 followers, but it's only because I just recently, I just recently started the Instagram that I'm currently on, but still, I only have like 90 something followers. So even out of that 90 something followers, only like the same 10, 15 people like my pictures. So even those same 15 people, if they're telling you that your work is good, your work is good. Your work is amazing. So, like I said, you have to understand that at the end of the day, whether you have the same amount of people as that person that you look up to, that you wishing that you have that amount of likes, like your stuff, or even you had that same 15 people that I have, your work is amazing. You have to understand that your work is your work. And as long as you feel like your work is good, even if your work is good, if your work is good enough to go ahead and put out to people, then you have to trust that. And this is what this podcast is going to be all about. All about uplifting yourself, uplifting the next creative, the next young black creative, and being that support system. And me, I'm always looking forward to, helping the next person, the next creative, talking to them, giving them their advice. I went through my entire life having people telling me that I give great advice. And honestly, I should have started this podcast a long time ago. And I don't even know if anybody is even doing a podcast like this, like for young black creatives. Hell, if they did, I wish the hell I would have found them, because, honey, all the times I needed, somebody to talk to. And don't get me wrong, I do have people to talk to. I have my best friend of damn near 6 years. Met her in high school. Like, me and her have grown a bond with each other. And I have another best friend too. Her name is Destiny. We've had our bond too. But my best friend Janae, we have an amazing bond with each other. She has definitely opened me. She's actually the one who's opened me more to my creative side than anything. So, having her as a best friend is a blessing, because I've went my entire life with I've always been quiet, I've always been shy, I've always been one to not really talk or openly express myself to others. And to have somebody that's a big support like her, that's she listens, she gives me advice, she tells me when I'm wrong. I promise she gets on my nerves when she do, but when she tells me I'm wrong, I take in what she's telling me, and she gives me advice on what I should do. She gives me ideas that I should try out. She's the one who actually pushed me to go ahead and start this podcast, because this podcast is long overdue. I've been talking about this podcast for over a year and a half. So she has always been that biggest support system outside family and everything like that. But immediate, like me and her, like I live with her. I live with her. So me and her are always talking. So to have a support system is amazing. And that's what I want this podcast to be. I want this podcast to be that support system to the next creative, the next young black creative, knowing that you are amazing, you're beautiful, your talent is beautiful, you're dope, You're a dope artist. You're a dope photographer. Your work is good. Your makeup is good. Your poem, oh my gosh, so uplifting. And like I said, I want to, incorporate having guests on the show, guest speakers, call-ins, segments, and artists come on the show. I want this podcast to really reach its full potential, because this is something not only for this time period, but this is a lifetime podcast. I want this podcast for when I get older, I can pass this on to the next generation coming up, so that they can keep their generation, their peers up and up, keep them uplifted, let them know that they're beautiful, they're talented, they're amazing artists, and that they're great no matter what, and they have that support system. They can always come here to listen to the information that, that the host is giving, listen to the information that the guest host is giving, and just know that no matter what, that they have a support system. So I'm going to try to figure this out with the podcast. Well, we're not really figuring it out. I've kind of got to figure out. I do want to start just doing the episodes. I want to do the episodes every week. I know a while ago when I said that I was going to start a podcast, I was going to do like 2 episodes a week. But I'm going to start slow. I'm going to take this slow. But, every time I come on here, I'm going to talk about something positive. I'm going to have a very good discussion. And I want to, I want to start having open discussions where I open a certain topic that I may talk about on the podcast to my social media platforms for those creatives, certain topics. I'm gonna start asking questions, maybe a time where I might do an open call. I might do a live call. So, just look out for those things for this podcast. I want this podcast to definitely reach its full potential, because this is something great for all of us creatives, all of us young Black creatives. And even if you're not young, even if you're not Black, even if you're not a creative, this podcast is going to include any and everything on here. So even if you can't relate to being young Black or a creative, you can relate to some things that I may talk about, because this also helps for people who just need somebody to talk to, somebody to relate to what you're going through. So yeah. So I really want this podcast to be something great. And it took me a lot, because like I said, I've been a shy person all my life. And for me to have a YouTube channel is crazy. And for me to, put my work out there is crazy. I've always been shy. Everybody who knows me, they know Quentin. Oh, Quentin's shy. Quentin don't talk that much. And it took me a lot to go ahead and start this podcast, because, damn, I didn't realize, I have a voice like this. My voice is power. And I've had so many people. I've had so much advice, and I've gotten so much advice from people. I'm able to spit that same advice out to the next person that needs it. That needs it. That don't have people like that. So yeah, like I said, this podcast, I'm going to probably just do the podcast once a week until, I get more comfortable, and then I have spare time to go ahead and pre-do episodes. And, I can turn this into a two episode week. And, I might incorporate start doing a live podcasts where actually I can be able to interact with people live. I can be able to take in calls, and I might start doing video podcasts eventually. So just look out for those things. This podcast is going to definitely evolve and grow as we go. But like I said, either out of the 1,000 people that may listen to this, the 500 people, or the same 3 people that may listen to me over and over again, stick around. Stick around. Please stick around. So just to kind of give you a taste of what my next podcast, the actual first episode, is going to be like. I don't know the topic yet. I'm going to get the topic together. And I might go ahead and start I might go ahead and start the open discussion boards and go ahead and promote for the podcast. But the formalities is just going to follow as suit. It's going to start off with the introduction. Introducing myself, the podcast, and the topic of the day. I'm thinking I'm gonna either do like joint topics where I have 2 topics that's going to intertwine with each other and still relate to one another, or I might have one big topic that can split up into 2 segments. So on the first segment, I'm going to talk about like 10-15 minutes about the topic, and then I'm going to go into a music break, because I want this podcast to be fun too. I want it to be fun and entertaining. So I'm going to probably include music within that break. Probably 1 or 2 songs, it really depends on timing and just kind of keep up everything, but it may be 2 songs, and then we're gonna come back on either the second topic or continue on with the first topic and close it out. And then after that topic, we either may go into another music break, or I might have a segment where I have like the open discussions, the live calls, or have people come on the show and talk about whatever they need to talk about. Like I said, I want to incorporate more. I'm going to incorporate guests, so it may be it's going to definitely be a young black creative. They be able to promote what they got going on, give advice on their personal experiences and things that they have going on for themselves, and just display them, because I want us to all network. That's another big thing I want us to do. I want us to network as black creatives as well, because we're always looking for somebody to work with, or we're also looking for somebody to support. So I'm always going to have somebody on this show that you may not know, you may know. So support that person. And then I'm going to close it out with a quote, or close it out with the final say, and then just wrap up the whole show. So to end this episode, because I've pretty much just talked y'all ears out for about 37 minutes now, just know that you are amazing and that you are wonderful. Keep pushing for greatness, because at the end of the day, you're all that you have. If nobody is there to support you, you have to support yourself. And you can't be able to introduce yourself to others if you can't, introduce yourself to yourself. If that makes sense, you have to. I got that advice for somebody, and I wanted to really say that because that kind of just ties the whole introduction topic together. So I wanted to go ahead and just display that to you guys. So thank you for listening and hearing me out. And it was just, it's oh my gosh, I'm so excited to go ahead and just edit this and put it out. So I'm gonna put it in my Instagram. It's gonna be, I'm gonna post the link all through my Instagram, like all through my social medias. So if you want to listen to it again, you can listen to it again. I'm going to go ahead and put this as a IG highlight on my bio. And I'm also going to put a link in my all my bios. So if you want to listen to it again, you can definitely come and listen to it again. Follow this SoundCloud. I'm going to start off on SoundCloud, and we're going to try to generate all the way to Apple Music, Spotify, and even our own website. So definitely go ahead and subscribe, like this, and yeah, listen out for the next episode. I'm probably going to have the next episode ready by next week, so definitely be ready for that. And keep your head up. Keep going. Keep pushing. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye.